So the Texans are 3-3 going into the bye week, and that's exactly where I had them at. But I had them beating the Jaguars and losing to the Bengals. But instead, they lost to the Jaguars in an ugly fashion and then beat the Bengals the following week. So let's start off with the quarterback position, man. As you all know, they threw out Tom Savage out there first, and then that disaster, 6 or 7 sacks happened in the first half, and then they threw out Deshaun Watson in the second half of that Jaguars game, man. I think that was absolutely genius by Bill O'Brien. He threw out Tom Savage first, because had he threw out Deshaun Watson first, and then say Deshaun Watson struggled at some point throughout the season, you already know Houston fans, man. Put in Savage! Put in Savage! Put in Savage! If Deshaun Watson were to struggle, a lot of the casual fans would have been calling for Savage. And when you bench a rookie quarterback, you stunt their growth. So, you gotta applaud O'Brien on that. That was pretty smart. So he threw out Tom Savage, showed to the fans what Savage could do. I mean, most fans do not like Savage now. They threw out Watson. Watson has been doing good, and if Watson struggles, pretty sure no one's going to call for Savage. So, pretty genius. Anyways, Deshaun Watson, he's played phenomenal so far. I think it's 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, as well as 2 rushing touchdowns. He has as many touchdowns as Brock Osweiler had all last season, so huge upgrade. And a lot of Deshaun Watson haters are going to tell you, man, the only good defense Deshaun Watson has faced was the Bengals, that he didn't do shit. Well, that Bengals game, man, you got to consider. It was on a short week in an away game where his only targets were 3 wide receivers and a practice squad tight end. So, yeah, the other games, I'd say he's played pretty well. Yes, he's had rookie moments, especially against the Browns and Chiefs, where he was missing some throws early in the game. And the one against the Chiefs, I just feel like the Chiefs were well prepared for what Bill O'Brien was doing at the moment. So Bill O'Brien adjusted and the offense got rolling. Against the Browns, they were just blitzing him and he was struggling, and Deshaun Watson later on adjusted. I mean, so far Deshaun Watson has made some pretty ugly throws. 3 in particular come to mind. They were all 3 interceptions, but all 3 of them, they weren't bad decisions. The first one was against the Patriots, where Stephon Gilmore picked him off, but he had DeAndre Hopkins wide open. He was going to DeAndre Hopkins, but his feet weren't set, and had his feet been set, DeAndre Hopkins would have been off to the races. And then the next one was obviously the only turnover against Tennessee, the interception. Same thing, feet weren't set. He had Hopkins wide open in the back of the end zone. Ended up underthrowing it because his feet weren't set. And the last one was against the Browns. Again, he had Hopkins wide open, and this one would have been a touchdown. But he underthrew it because he had Myles Garrett right on his face. So, can't really blame him. And the thing is, man, I feel like Deshaun Watson has had some rookie games already. And that's pretty crazy because they've been pretty good. I mean, 15 touchdowns, 1,200 yards, I want to say. So, the guy is doing a really good job. He's completely changed the Texans. He's made the Texans offense good. And the thing is, man, I still think Deshaun Watson's yet to play a perfect game. So, imagine when that perfect game comes. And Deshaun Watson's still a rookie. He's still learning. So, he's only going to get better. So, there's that. Okay, Now, the offensive line. You guys already know the offensive line week 1 was atrocious. Just bad. But it's gotten better as the weeks have progressed. I mean, Nick Martin, I feel like he's been our only consistent one that's been good all year long. Greg Manx has been in there every now and then, and he's done a good job. Jeff Allen, I feel like, isn't as bad as he was last year. Breno Giacomini is bad, but I feel like he's still a little better than Chris Clark was last year at the right tackle spot. And the thing about Breno is that he's kind of nasty, you know, like, he's one of those nasty, aggressive offensive linemen, and we need more of those on the Texans. So that's good. Chris Clark, ever since he took over for Kendall Lamb on the left tackle spot, he's done a solid job, and that's probably where he belongs, man. Because when he was at right tackle last season, he was terrible. And Suafilo is, Xavier Suafilo. Offensive line has been getting better, and hopefully it keeps getting better as they keep playing more together, because that's how offensive lines work. The more they play together, the better they get together. Anyways, moving on to the running backs. The running backs, you're not seeing these crazy stats with Lamar Miller, but I do feel like Lamar Miller is more efficient this season. He's getting bigger runs instead of constantly getting 2-yard gains. So I feel like this new role he's playing in with the splitting carries with Deontay Foreman is really helping him out, because Lamar Miller isn't a 3-down back, or he's a 3-down back, but he isn't like a 25 touches kind of back. And we saw that last year. He got a bunch of touches, and that's just not what he is. Foreman has done really well, splitting carries with Miller. Against the Browns, he did struggle there at the end. He couldn't get anything going, but that seems to be the story of the season when running the ball. We can't really get anything going when we run to the left side. So I'm satisfied with the way the running backs have been playing. I feel like the run game is way more efficient than it was last season. Now the wide receivers and tight ends. Of course, Fedorowicz went down, which sucked, but I do feel like Ryan Griffin has done a solid job filling in, and I feel like we need to incorporate Steven Anderson more. I feel like he's a mismatch, and we need to use him more. Now the wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins is having a bounce back year. Maybe the yards aren't there, but the receptions are totally there. He has 6 touchdowns already, which is tied for the most in the NFL right now with Jordy Nelson. So that's obviously good. And Will Fuller, man. I hated Will Fuller, and now I don't. He turned me into a fan of him. I mean, I think he has 9 receptions and 5 of them are touchdowns. So that's crazy, man. And Will Fuller's doing his job, and that's stretching the field. It's funny what a quarterback can do to a player like Fuller. A guy that many people didn't really like because of his drop issues is now all of a sudden probably our biggest playmaker. I wouldn't even put it past that. He's a huge difference maker. 5 touchdowns. The chemistry with Deshaun Watson's there. Yes, he did have probably a touchdown drop against Cleveland, but I mean, it didn't really matter. That's the thing, man. Like, Fuller's gonna have these drops every now and then, but as long as the ball keeps going his way, he's gonna make up for it. And last season that wasn't the case because, Osweiler couldn't get the ball over there, so Watson can, and now we're seeing what Fuller's really capable of. Bruce Ellington was an outstanding pickup, huge upgrade over Braxton Miller, who I still don't like, even though he had a little touchdown where he dove into the end zone, which was pretty stupid because he could have gotten hurt. Anyways, I feel a lot more comfortable with our wide receiver situation. now than I was before the season started. Now the defense. Defensive line, J.J. Watt got hurt again, so that sucks, but I don't really think it's going to impact us that much because we do have a lot of talent across the defensive line when it comes to run stopping. Run stopping, we're good, man. I really do think so. We got DJ Reader, Christian Covington, Joel Heath, Brandon Dunn, and Carlos Watkins, who played really well against the Browns. Yes, it was the Browns, but the Browns have a good offensive line. So, there's that. Now, the pass rush situation when it comes to the D-line, I don't think it's really there. I think Mike Vrabel and Romeo Crennel are going to have to work on that, on scheming players on certain situations, like a Clowney, make him be on one-on-one on certain situations, and hope he wins, and send in exotic blitzes of some sort to get the pressure, because I don't think our current defensive line can get the pressure. Now, linebackers, if you want to consider Clowney and Merciless a linebacker, then, because, I don't know, people call them edge rushers, you know, but technically they are linebackers in our defense. So Merciless got hurt, which sucks because Merciless is really durable, and he's out for the season. Clowney, I'd say he's having a decent season. I don't think he's having a monster season. We did sign Lamar Houston, who I do think is going to contribute a good amount. He's a decent pass rusher. And Brendan Scarlett, who I don't know how to feel about. He's a pretty decent run stopper, but pass rushing wise, I don't think he's quite there yet. Now the other linebackers, of course, you got Cushing suspended, and we got McKinney still being McKinney, and we got Zach Cunningham and Dylan Cole being absolute monsters, man. These guys bring speed to the inside linebacker position, and that's something we've lacked. I mean, you guys saw Dylan Cole on that interception. He kept up with Duke Johnson, man. Like, we've never had that. So, I do think our linebacker positions, or inside linebacker positions, are better than they are when the season started. I do think Dylan Cole and Zach Cunningham are indeed upgrades over Brian Cushing. So, there's that. Now the secondary. Our safeties are bad, to say the least. I mean, Gilchrist, bad. Andre Howe, good 1 week, bad the next. Corey Moore, absolute trash. Corners, Jonathan Joseph, you know, still doing it even at the age of 33. Kareem Jackson, still a great tackler. Shouldn't be on the outside. He should be a nickel corner, because that's what he is. But we don't have an option right now. Well, now we do, because Kevin Johnson is indeed coming back. And he has a whole bye week to practice and get up to speed, because he was struggling against the Jaguars. So, now that he's back, I do think he is a huge upgrade over Jonathan Banks, who we cut. And Marcus Williams was a pretty decent pickup, because he was doing good against the Browns. But, again, it was the Browns. Now, special teams. Special teams, our kicker, Fairbairn. Man, what a great find. The guy is money. Except when we're blowing a team out and he goes for an extra point. Then I just feel like he gets lazy, because he has 2 missed extra points, one against the Browns and one against the Titans. And they were both pretty much blowout wins. So, I just think he just stops carrying and doesn't kick it right. And then we got him on the kickoffs. And you guys already know our coverage units are terrible on both the punt team and the kicking team. So the fact that this guy could kick the ball out of the end zone, that's good. We need that. So Fairbairn was an outstanding find. And now punts. Punting wise, Shane Leckler, you know, he's Shane Leckler. He's done a good job. Aside from one punt against the Browns, which was absolutely terrible, that was on him. Coverage units, bad as always, as you guys know. And our return teams. When Fuller is out there on punt returns, he seems to do a pretty good job most of the time. Most of the time he gets pretty good returns. And on kick returns, we haven't really done that well, aside from one kick return that Christian Thompson had against the Titans. So I think our punt return team when Fuller's out there is good, but when he's not, it's mediocre. And our kick return unit is pretty mediocre as well. So that's pretty much where I think the Texans are up to this point in the season. I do think that our hardest part of the schedule is over. There is a few games that are pretty difficult, starting with the Seattle one, followed by the Rams one, because the Rams, man, they're a pretty good team. Probably the last remaining great offense we face this season, because, of course, we got Pittsburgh over there week 16, but they've looked mediocre at best offensively, so I feel like we could take them on, unless, week 16 is far away, so, things can change by then. But as of right now, our toughest teams left on the schedule: Seattle and the Rams. So now I just think it's up to Deshaun Watson to lead this team to the postseason. Hopefully Mike Vrabel and Romeo Crennel can figure out this defense situation, and the defense improves in the second half of the season, how it's been doing in the Bill O'Brien era. So let's see where we go from here. So with that being said, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.